Oompa loompa skippity doo. I've got a new video, and it's not about you. Ladies and gents, welcome back to the Casual Commentators channel. It's me, as usual, Ben Davis. Today I got a little bit of a special episode, a little different. And by different, it means pretty much the exact same as all the other content that I've created. But, as you can see by the title, today's video is about Swiss Army Man and why I sort of enjoyed it. Now, look, Swiss Army Man came out in 2016. It's a drama fantasy. I've got it up right here. IMDb gave it a 7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 71%. Metacritic gave it a 64%. So, from a lot of the accredited sources, they're rocking that like a C-. Is pretty much where Swiss Army Man landed for them. I'm going to call it Sam. Swiss Army Man, I'm going to call it Sam from now on. So a lot of people gave it just a C, wrote it off. I will mention that 87% of people liked the movie from the Google users. I've always been confused as to who votes on that. Who's a Google user that actively uses that function? I don't know. Whatever. It is what it is. I'll vote. Hell, I'll vote. Boom. I'm a Google user now. No, but here's the main reason why I liked it. It was, well, a couple reasons that contribute to a main reason, which I will expand upon later. But it was very, very creative. It was unbelievably creative, and it was very experimental. Very experimental, took a lot of risks that I thoroughly enjoyed. It's only a 97-minute film, but it was paced very nicely, and I don't want to say definitive 3-act structure, because there's definitely a lot of gray area in the sense where the plot sort of blends together, but you get so immersed into it that it just flows very nicely. It's like a river. But I guess just a brief, because it sort of filters into my point, just a brief little synopsis of what it's about. So there's a dude stranded on a desert island named Hank, who's played by Paul Dano, not entirely sure what the pronunciation is, and it's it really puts you in it right off the bat, and, it's literally just a suicide that's happening. But as he's about to jump off the little box he's created and do the old noose, he spots a body that's washed ashore, and as he goes to examine it, he slips and he's hanging. And so I'm like, wow, this movie's gonna end at about 15 seconds. Thankfully, the rope was not strong enough. Maybe that's because of the salt water that had gotten into the threads and it wasn't as strong anymore. I don't know. But Hank doesn't die, and he goes over, and Daniel Radcliffe is just hanging out, sort of dead. And then there's a lot of experimental things that happen that I don't necessarily want to get too into, just sake of me. I don't really want to talk about awkward things, whatever. But so Hank and Daniel Radcliffe eventually form a little bit of a bond once Hank essentially resuscitates Daniel Radcliffe's character. He's sort of a dead body on the brink of death or whatever. And then they begin having a very nice relationship. That sort of is the cornerstone of this film, and is where a lot of the emotional connection, that pathos, that catharsis between the audience member and the actors on screen is really formed, is watching their relationship unfold. And one of the main points I want to get into is how fantastic that each character was a fold for the other. Fold meaning that when Hank was trying to do something for Daniel Radcliffe's character, who is, I believe, I think his name is Manny. Yeah, Manny was the name of Daniel Radcliffe's character. When Hank was trying to find Manny, you find out a lot about Hank. Similarly, the converse is true as well, except Manny has like a memory deficiency or whatever, so we don't really get to learn a lot about him, but he's a fantastic fold for Hank, and much of Hank's backstory and his character is found in his interactions with Manny, and him trying to help Manny come back, because Manny is literally just a dead body, right? But I just felt like I should mention that, because there's a lot of movies these days that have characters that they interact, yes, but they don't impact each other. You really don't see the development occur. And in the 97 minutes that Swiss Army Man has, it shows a lot of development for Hank as a character. He goes from one place to a completely different place at the end. And I really honestly didn't see it coming. There's a very solid twist which made me think. And I really love movies that make me think, that put me in a position where I have to sort of reevaluate the preceding 90 minutes. And so I really, really enjoyed that aspect of it. Again, a lot of the soundtrack, or again, very experimental. A lot of the soundtrack was a cappella in the sense that Hank Paul Dano was singing it, and it was just, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. Visually, it was a very cool experience, and I think it was just a little slept upon. I think that there's a lot of genuine comedic moments that are brought about, a lot of physical comedy that happens, but there is such a really undermining emotional tone. And maybe that's because the movie starts off with essentially a suicide occurring, possibly. But from my point of view, it was a really slept-on movie in 2016, and I just don't think it's gotten the attention that it deserves, because it really does deliver a pretty solid emotional impact, a really big payoff at the end. And I can personally say, I was on my list of movies to watch for a while, so when I saw it on Netflix, I was very happy and overjoyed that it was added to the old catalog. But I can say assuredly that you will not be disappointed by watching it, and yeah, that's about it. All right, I'll catch you cats in the next one. Expect more of these shorter videos. If you haven't watched the update regarding like the audio commentaries and more review type stuff, I guess watch it. I actually don't know if I mentioned anything about reviews. Whatever. We'll get to it when we get to it. Have a good one, gang.